As soon as you click on the submit button, what process to be taken place that we are defining in the form tag here. This is the target attribute. So it specifies the submitted result will open in a new tab or a frame or in current window. Each input field must have a name attribute to be submitted. So this is the name attribute. Dear students, welcome to Computer Science Revision classes. I am Ravi Kumar KR, lecturer in Computer Science, Vidhyaashram PU College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. Students, let us continue our discussion with the chapter 17, Web Designing. Now, in this session, we are going to talk about form elements, web scripting, and web hosting. Let us start with the definition of what are HTML forms. Now, HTML form is a section of document which contains a text field, password field, checkbox, radio buttons, etc. And HTML form facilitates the user to enter data that is to be sent to the server for processing, such as names, address, username, password, etc. Students, you might have come across examples while applying for different institutions in colleges. Nowadays, everything is in the form of online, or we have to apply through online. So even when you go for online application, we might have come across different fields, what we call as a different fields. That is maybe your name, your father name, class, section, date of birth, whatever it is. Everything, all different fields are appearing in that particular form. That is called forms. That is called electronic forms. So here, with the help of HTML tag, it is possible to have, or you can have forms, or you can prepare forms or electronic forms, and whatever the data you are going to fill in the different fields of electronic form, it goes to the server directly. That is the meaning of e-form or electronic forms. And electronic forms which have different elements, they are password field, username, text file, checkboxes, radio button, submit, reset. All these are different elements of electronic form. Now let us see different components of electronic form: text field, password field, text area, checkbox, radio button, drop down menu, submit button, and reset button. See, these are different components of or different elements of electronic form. Now let us see the syntax of all these elements or the components one by one. So first one is input. This is the input tag, input element. So here, what is the input tag? It is input type equal to text. So this is the one, it is going to define one line of text input. This is one line text input box. And again, input type equals to radio. It defines radio buttons. And here, type equal to text, it defines one line text input. So here, this is the syntax of input element or input tag. It is going to define different form elements. So for example, here, input type equal to text, name equal to first name, and second name, input type equal to text, name equal to second name. So if you process this HTML tags, this would be the output of this. So here, with the help of input element, it is possible to define different form elements. So this is a text box. So here, input type equal to text, it defines a text box. Next element is radio button. In radio button, input type equals to radio, name equal to gender, value equals to male. Check. See, this is the syntax of using radio button or radio tag, and here input type equals to radio. The form elements, and output would be like this. So this is the meaning of a radio button. So this is one of the form element. Next one is here the submit button. So whenever you are going to fill any of the application forms through online, so there will be a law at last you have to submit the form. So as we see in the first slide, so as soon as you click on submit button, all the data what you have entered, it goes to the server for processing. So this is that submit button. So how to define a submit button here? So here input type equal to submit. So it defines a button for submitting the form data to a form handler. So this is the syntax here. So here input type equal to submit, value submit. So when you process this, you will get one submit button at the bottom of your form elements or electronic forms. Next one is action attribute. So this is one of the attribute we use in forms. So here it defines action to be performed when the form is submitted. So we have seen in the previous slide the submit button. As soon as you click on the submit button, what process to be taken place, that we are defining in the form tag here. So this is how we use it, form action. So action is the one of the attribute here, action page dot php. So this is one of the action attribute we are using in form tag. In the next slide, this is the target attribute. So it specifies the submitted result will open in a new tab or a frame or in current window. So what is the target attribute? So as soon as you click on the submit button in the electronic form, so the processing or the result will be displayed or it open in maybe in a new tab or frame or a current window. That is we are going to specify with target attribute. So here form, the syntax or a HTML tag, form action, this is the action attribute, and here target equals to blank. So here it is going to, the result will be opened in a new blank tab. So this is the target attribute. Next one is the method attribute. It specifies HTTP method. It is a get or post. See, these two are different methods we are using in electronic forms. So here it will be used when submitting the form. And here the syntax is form action, method equals to get, or we can write here the method equals to post here. So the get function, these are the functions. The get, the default method when submitting form data is, this is the default get method. And when get is used, the submitted form data will be visible in the page address field. And in the post function, if the form data contains sensitive or personal information. So here this is get and post. These are different functions we are using, or different attributes we are using along with the form tag or with method attribute. So here get and post function. Next one is name attribute. What is name attribute? Here each input field must have a name attribute to be submitted. So this is the name attribute. Look at the example here. Text input, the size and maximum length. Password is a control. See here, attributes are text input and password are the controls. Example, input type equals to text and name equals to user ID. So this is the name attribute here we are using with the input tag here. Similarly, password, input type equal to text, name equals to password. So here name is the attribute, here user ID is the value, password is the value here. So this is name attribute. Next one is checkbox control. What is a checkbox control? It is used when more than one option is required to be selected. So you might have come across an example in while working with the electronic forms. So here input type equal to checkbox. So you know what is a checkbox? This is called as checkbox with a square box here. And how do it work here? We are supposed to click or select this. So as soon as you click on this, it will be ticked here. So this is how to select checkboxes. The syntax will be input type equal to checkbox, name equals to reading, value equals to on, checked reading. So this is value, reading is the name here. So this is one thing. Again, name equal to cycling here, one more checkbox, this is another checkbox. This is one of the component of forms. Next concept is web hosting. Next concept is web hosting. Now, what is web hosting? It is a means of hosting web server application onto a computer system through which electronic content on the internet available to any web browser client here. So what is web hosting here? So this is nothing but hosting the web server application in the server. And what is the advantage of this? So once the content or data is hosted in a web server, all the clients or access the data through web browser. So here web browser is a client, server is a web server. So the data in a web server we are accessing through a web browser, that is a web browser client. So here there are various types of web hosting services available. One is free hosting, virtual or shared hosting, dedicated hosting, and co-location hosting. See, these are all different types of web hosting. The concept here is the data in the form of website will be available to the different users through web browser client, and where the data will be stored, that is the meaning of web hosting concept. Now, first one is called free hosting. What is the meaning of free hosting? It offers to host some web pages for no cost. See here, suppose if any company will be having their own website, and that website will be hosted in the server, web server, for free or for no cost, that is called free hosting. So what is the purpose of this? It may be for fun, one of the reasons for this, or to experiment with different sites. And WordPress.com, Wix, GoDaddy, all these are different websites offering web hosting services for free. So free hosting is here any companies or a organization's website will be hosted in the web server for free of cost without any payment. That is free web hosting. Next one is called virtual or shared hosting. So virtual or shared hosting. So what is the definition of this? It is where one's website domain is hosted on web server of hosting company along with other websites. And here there are two concepts. One is a company or an organization, they are hosting website of other companies. So that is virtual hosting. Look at the example here. Suppose this is one of the web server of web hosting company, and in that they are going to host the website of different company or different organization. So in this example, this is one company or one organization, second one, and this is a third example. So in this example, this is a website of one organization, another, and this is one more website for another organization. It will be hosted in only one server of web hosting company. That is the concept of virtual or shared hosting. So the meaning here is the one server will be shared by different organizations. Next one is called dedicated hosting. So in this type of hosting, the company wishing to go online rents an entire web server from the hosting company. So this is the meaning of this. So in this, the web hosting company, they're going to provide his only one separate server for one of the organization or one of the company. So here in this example, there might be a 3 web server in web hosting company. They are hosting only one website or one web application in only one server. So that is the meaning of dedicated hosting. Next one is called co-location hosting. So this is those who do not fit as dedicated server or hosting companies offer a similar but less restrictive hosting known as co-location. So in this type of hosting, company actually owns the server. The company actually owns the server on which the site is hosted. So that is the company owning the site rather than the web hosting company. So here, what is the meaning of this? In this co-location hosting, the company organization which owns or is going to buy a server or from the web hosting company, but on its own. It means that all the administrative work with respect to a particular website or any company, it will be under the control of a company, not with the web hosting company. So here, web hosting company is responsible for maintaining that particular server in their location. That is the meaning of co-location hosting. Look at the example here. So this is a web hosting company, and here this one server and one server. So here this organization will be having the entire control of this particular website, and only the web hosting company will maintain the server at their location. That is the concept of co-location hosting. Next we move on to next concept, that is XML. So what is XML? Now we have learned HTML language, hypertext markup language, and now let us see what is XML. XML is extended markup language. So this is again a computer language. It is XML stands for extended markup language for document containing structured information. So it is the next version of or better version of HTML, where it provides a better structure of information. Means so it is easy for anyone to display information in a structured manner. So here, for example, it can be a words, picture, etc., and some indication of what role that contents play. Now it is a text-based markup language. XML is a text-based markup language that is fast and the standard for data interchange on the web. Now XML is a standard language for website development. Next one is DHTML. Dynamic Hypertext Markup Language. So it refers to web content that changes each time it is viewed. So this is a dynamic HTML. Now, dynamic in the sense the meaning is keeps changing, and opposite dynamic is static website. And here the dynamic website or dynamic, it refers to the web content that changes each time when it is viewed. See, very good example this. See, you might have come across some examples in your day-to-day work. Whenever you're browsing a particular website, see, when you view it at this time, the appearance of the site will be different. And when you visit the same website, maybe after half an hour, after 1 hour, the design part and the content keeps changing. That is the meaning of dynamic HTML or dynamic websites. And here, different page depending on any of the parameters. So the parameters may be geographic location of the reader. Suppose today you are visiting the website here, and tomorrow you are going to visit the same website on different location. Then the design part of it or content part of it keeps changing. Next, time of the day, as I told you just now. Maybe you can visit the site today at this time, and after 10 minutes it may change. And previous page viewed by the reader and profile of the reader. It also depends on these are the different parameters. Based on this, the web content or changes. And here another example for this is it include having the color of the text heading change when a user passes the mouse over it. So another example for dynamic website, where if you move the mouse pointer over the text of any of the website, the color or font may keeps changing. That is one of the example for this. Now it is a dynamic HTML is a collective term for combination of hypertext markup language tags and options that can make the web pages more animated and interactive than previous version of HTML. So this is the advantage of DHTML. Earlier it was a static website, or we used to develop a static website through HTML language, which DHTML it is possible to develop a dynamic website where we can see the different characters what you have seen in our previous slides. Now it allows web documents to look and act like a desktop applications or multimedia production. See, these are all different advantages of DHTML. Next concept is web scripting. So what is web scripting? Here, the process of creating and embedding scripts in a web page is known as web scripting. So here, a script or a computer script is a list of commands that are embedded in a web page normally and are interpreted and executed by certain program or scripting engine. So what is the meaning of web scripting here? So here it is possible to have a small program, nothing but a script. It is nothing but a group of commands. So it can be executed in a web page of any website. That is the concept of web scripting. And here the script may be written for a variety of purposes, such as for automating processes on local computer or to generate web pages on the web. And this is the definition of this. And what the example is, placing an order on the web page. It is one of the operation, so it can be done through, it is taking place through web scripting. So here, placing an order on a website, it is a separate application or it is embedded in the website. So here scripting is nothing but it is a group of commands to execute particular operation. In this example, placing an order is an activity or one operation. And the programming languages in which scripts are written are called scripting languages. So it is a scripting language through which we can write embedded systems. And there are many scripting languages, and examples are VB script, JavaScript, ASP, PHP, and so on. So this is the definition of web script. Next one is client-side web scripts. So there are two methods of scripting languages. One is client-side scripts and one more is server-side scripting. So in client-side scripts, the client-side scripts are downloaded at the client end and then interpreted and executed by the browser. Here there are two concepts, one is client and the server. So in the client-side script, all the activity will take place at the client end. Here web browser is a client. And here the client-side scripting is used when the client-side interaction is used. And this client-side script, it runs on client devices. It runs on client devices and processing at the user computer. See, these are all the features of client-side scripts. Some examples of client scripting may be to get data from the user screen or browser, online games, customizing the display of page in browsers without reloading the page, creating an account, email, online transaction. All these are examples for client-side scripts. Next one is server-side scripts. So definition is it enables the completion or carrying out a task at the server end or server level and then sending the result to the client end here. So in the previous slide, we have seen client-side script where all the activities operation takes place at the client machine. But in server-side scripting, all the operations are carried out at the server end and the result of the operation sends to the client. And in server-side script, the server does all the work it does not matter which browser is being used by the client. So all the activities or operation execution takes place at the server machine. So it is used when information is sent to the server to process at the server end. So this is the where we are using server-side scripts. Example is password protection and browser customization, form processing, what you have seen in the beginning of the form elements or electronic forms. See, when you submit the form, it goes to the server for processing. So this is server-side scripting. Building and displaying pages created from the database and dynamically editing, changing or adding content to the web page. See, these are all different examples for server-side scripts. Students, so far we have discussed about the form elements or different components of electronic forms and concepts like web scripting, server-side scripting, and client-side scripting. Let us continue our discussion in my next class. Thank you very much.